Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. It's February 12th, 2025. Anyway, I want to make a video this evening about, is the Great Experiment over? What I mean by the Great Experiment is America, the United States of America, where a government was created to protect men from government, for men to pursue their happiness without any government interruption, with our right to defend ourselves. You know, the Second Amendment stuff. Anyway, is the Great Experiment over? Well, I would have to say yes. Yeah, we still have a functioning country, if you can say that, but we don't have a functioning constitution anymore. And here lies the problem. We went away from the rule book and decided to create our own, through the years, different style of constitution. But anyway, now we got where a president who just left can sign pardons on people for things that they might have done during the course of their life. I mean, even up to 10 years of their life. If they did something wrong, it's just erased. Okay? No. Where men aren't held accountable. It's who you are, not what you are. And that's what this country's become. I mean, I love to see the walk of shame of people on the Epstein list and stuff like that, but we're never going to see it. Because when it comes deep down, every politician's going to know that it's going to anything that's going to shake the country up too much, they're not going to come out with it. But to keep threatening it, keep us interested in it, you might say, or use it as a distraction. But whatever. And I mean, that's a two-tier justice system. I mean, with the pardons that President Biden gave out before he left office. And don't the Democrats realize now you gave Trump the green light to do it? Because the motto of today is, well, it's okay for me to do it because the person before me did it. I mean, this is insanity. I mean, in a country where the government is not supposed to restrict the people, okay, where we have a constitution that protects us from the government. Does anybody feel protected from the government anymore? Does anybody feel we have taxation without representation? I think we have that. Paying all these taxes so we can spread whatever we need to spread all over the world. By the way, the Great Experiment was for people to come here, and be Americans, be part of the Great Experiment. Not like the immigration where we got now where, no, we're going to bring our country to your country and you guys are just going to have to accept it. No, that's not the way it was meant to be. People came here to America for the Great Experiment. Foreigners changed their names to sound more American. The first thing they knew they needed to do was learn English. I heard a story where the White House took down the Spanish White House page. Well, good. English is our spoken language. Okay, Governor Walz, when they was running for vice president, when all that fiasco was going on, he was talking about how proud he was that Worthington, Minnesota had 50 languages spoken in that school. Okay, I want everybody to know, Worthington isn't a town or a big city of even 100,000. It's maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people. And it's got 50 languages speaking in the school. Boy, bet you a lot of teachers getting done there. You were just, everybody's getting away from the Great Experiment. See, this is the thing. when they wrote a constitution saying that the government isn't allowed to mess with us, that made us free and independent. Were we allowed to pursue our happiness? And you either made it or you didn't make it. Okay, not everybody gets rich, but you got to be happy. You were independent. You were free from government control. I mean, when a guy got out of prison back in the Old West, they gave his gun back because even somebody who went to prison was allowed to protect himself against a criminal. You know, if we start enforcing the laws instead of punishing law-abiding American citizens for one day they're doing something and the next day they're doing the same thing, but they're a felon. You know, like the bump stock thing. Okay, this is the thing. If you want to be independent, you got to be independent. You can't, to be dependent on the government for something. And this is what happens, when we have a natural disaster now. Everybody expects the federal government. I'm not saying they shouldn't help out, but you shouldn't have your hand held out like that. You should, if they stop taking income tax from us, God, just imagine what people could do with an extra, $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 a year. The government wasn't taking it from them. And the money companies could save that they did, big companies, when they didn't have to deal with the IRS and deal with income tax. How much money could a big company save? Heck, everybody could get a 10% raise right across the board right away for the money the companies would save. That's another thing. All this stuff that's unconstitutional we have. The IRS, the ATF, the FBI, the Federal Reserve, a standing military. We haven't stood down since World War II. That's been 80 years. 80 years this year. We haven't stood down in military posture. That's not what this country was founded on. That's the founding fathers didn't want military control in the country. They wanted civilian control. They were so scared of a standing army where a man could get so strong that everybody would just follow him. And people would say, well, that could never happen here. Well, it did happen in a few free countries before. Namely one, France. After their revolution, they were free. And then what did they bring in? An emperor called Napoleon. Oh, yeah. Free people will give up their freedom. Oh, what's another one? Can you say Germany, Weimar Republic, gave up their rights and freedoms? And, the Weimar Republic, I may say, was kind of a Sodom and Gomorrah place, kind of like we are now. But they gave their freedom and that stuff up for Hitler. We get the right person in there with charisma, and then we can have a big problem. I don't think Trump is that person. He doesn't want to rule the world. Well, I don't know. That's the other thing about the United States. Now we're talking about Canada and North Mexico and Greenland and having the Gaza Strip turned into a vacation spot off our tax dollars, I might add. That sounds like a little bit of nation building to me. That's got to be. If the U.S. tries to start that, American people will rise up. Like I say, why do we want Canada in the United States? So we can have more socialism? Yeah, let's allow 60 million people in this country that are socialists. And we're going to bring a third world country in, Mexico? Well, that'll do us real good. We're almost at third world country status, so let's bring a third world country. And then Greenland? I don't even understand. That's got to be some strategic military putting nuclear weapons there to hit Russia. I don't know. That's definitely got to be strategically based for the United States. That's the only thing I can think, because it makes no sense whatsoever. Okay. Let's all take a vacation trip to Greenland. This is all crazy talk. But this is not what the United States was founded on. What that flag stands for. The Great Experiment. We were free as a people. We freed ourselves from tyranny, from overreaching government, from overtaxation, which isn't even close to how much we're getting taxed now, the working man. Yeah, Democrats don't want to reduce spending. Well, yeah, all their followers don't pay taxes. Everybody who votes, the most people who vote Democrat are on the titty. They're not filling up the cookie jar, they're taking from the cookie jar. So of course they want more tax because they want more cookies in there. But the thing is, they're going to cut here, they're just going to spend more there. It's not like our taxes are going to go down. You watch the budget. They're talking about all these spending cuts. Get rid of the Department of Education, Homeland Security, FBI, IRS. Get rid of all that. The budget for next year will still be higher than this year's. I mean, they're on a continued resolution anyway. Our Congress is so messed up, we can't even pass a budget, but every household is supposed to. You know, Americans are getting tired of it. And now you got the Democrats that are unhappy with the democracy we have. You know, the Republican democracy or the conservative, so-called conservative democracy compared to the Democrat democracy. I mean, two democracies. We used to be a constitutional republic with an American-type democracy. You know why you can't have democracies? You figured it out, Democrats? Because the other side ain't going to do what you like. They can sit there and pass goofy laws. But now if they stick by the Constitution, they can't do that. But hey, you know what? We got people in charge. They did it. He did it. Da, 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 da.
For affordable home and style staples to help you get ready for anything.
Wow, I got it.
Etsy has it.
Sorry about that. Yeah, you can't even have the American flag on it without having to get a commercial. You know, maybe that's their thing with businessmen. Going woke and stuff. Businessmen, big, smart guys, right? Losing money because you're in the social media business and you're so thin-skinned that you don't want to have any other opinion besides hearing men can get pregnant and you can have 1,000 genders if you want to be. Men putting on makeup and garbage like that. You know, let's just hide another thing. We're not a country of the truth no more. I was talking with a bunch of buddies the other day about how, you know, we were brought up to tell the truth, and nowadays that's like a taboo thing. That makes you look bad if you go out and tell the truth. Well, I still stand for everything this thing stands for. That's why I joined the Marine Corps. So I serve my country. And I'm not going to let some idiot sit there and take it away. Well, the great experiment, though, is over. We have an out-of-control government, $7 trillion in debt now? $37 trillion that we know about? Their government lying to us, no transparency, stealing from us, taxing us to stupid amounts. Totally bringing socialism. You know, our founding fathers were against socialism. Thank God for George Washington. You know, I say people won't give up their power or their freedom. Bullshit. Because if we went to have George Washington, the man he was, because after the revolution, people wanted to make him king. Yeah. So we fought a revolution to be free and they want to, you know, place somebody as king. Because we didn't want to be responsible for ourselves. That's what it comes down to. This country is based on people being responsible for themselves, watching out for their neighbor, and definitely not being messed with by anybody. Your neighbor or your government or a foreign country. So anyway, you know, are we going to be able to bring it back? No. It's too, you know, Democrats are calling for civil war now because they don't like the democracy. Like we were, and the thing is, those are crazy guys that'll do it. Whatever it takes. The federal government needs to be revamped. It needs to go back to the Constitution. It needs to be dissolved. Democrats, we're going to shut down government. Good! Good! The sooner the better. You know, in this country, you were allowed to be in charge of your life. You don't have to worry about being messed with by the law. You don't have to sit there and have to worry about being stopped on the road at night because you're the only car that happens to be driving down the road and you pass a cop who's allowed to break the rules like crazy. I passed one a couple weeks ago at night. And we really don't have shoulders on the roads here, right? He's parked right off the side of the road. No lights on, nothing. Just like he's an abandoned car. About that far off the blacktop. Yeah. Well, you couldn't sit in a field approach? Yep. Thank you, Bill Clinton, for 100,000 more cops on the street. Helped turn our country into a police state. Anyway, the great experiment's over. Are you ready to fight to reset it? I know, you know, when it comes to that, it's going to come to that. Eventually, it's going to come to that. Either we're going to rise up or we're going to be, after pissing off the whole world, you know, the chickens are going to come home to roost, like Reverend Wright liked to say. Remember Obama threw him under the bus? Because the man spoke his mind. Just because I didn't agree with him, he spoke his mind. So Obama threw him under the bus. Anyway, that's where we're at now. The great experiment is now a faded memory. I'm glad I grew up in a generation born in '67, went through high school in the '80s, graduated in the '80s, went and served my country when Reagan was still in office, traveled the world as a United States Marine under Reagan. Hoorah. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know all this stuff, the government, you know, when the facade that green piece of paper is worth something is over, oh my goodness. I hope you have everything paid for. I hope you're debt free. I hope you have supplies built up because the credit markets will shut down overnight. And since all these big businesses live on credit, even to pay their employees, you know, diesel, you name it. And, you know, when everybody's crying, oh, I can't believe that happened. I guess you just ostrich with your head in the sand. If you can follow history at all. Okay? Remember, people committed murder and killed themselves because Kamala Harris lost the election and Donald Trump won. That's the state of the affairs this country is in. Where these communists just can't realize a life without communism. So, and it was in Minnesota. And Washington State was another one. I think there was another one, I can't remember where that was at, but they're all blue states. Because these people have mental illness. That'll be another one I do. But I like to know when we stop treating mental illness. To where kids can actually think they're not human beings. And I'm supposed to sit there and accept that. The moral decay. Anyway, the great experiment's over. Because everybody wanted to be taken care of. And being independent isn't, well, it's not on my radar right now. So, anyway. World of hurt's coming upon us. I don't know, is it going to be nuclear weapons from China and Russia? Okay. Is it going to be just the financial collapse? Is it going to just be where there's more foreigners in this country than Americans and we're just a foreign country then? You know, 2,500 people a week. Wow. Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, why don't you deputize any civilian that wants to sit there and be a bounty hunter and put bounties on these people? It'd be a lot cheaper on the government if we went and did it than you. Okay? Anyway, I feel as an American, I'm allowed to protect my country. The militia does exist. And now the biggest military we have is all us vets. Let's do our job and protect our country. Anyway, lots of problems. And we're not even talking about UFOs and declassifying JFK and 9/11 and Martin Luther King and all this shit. They'll never declassify that stuff. I'll tell you why. Because declassified, then they were going to admit they were lying and stuff. And then we could say, see? Yeah, a liar always sits there and admits they're lying. Okay, yeah, okay. But anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Anyway, it's his Hidden Truths channel. Out.